Like I said, I'm Gabriel Brasil. I'm Anitya's UX strategist. So today I'm going to be walking you through a little bit of an experiment that I'm doing. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'd like to invite you to be part of it. So the idea here today, I have a little project. Let me share. I'm going to share my screen with you for a second. The goal here for this little project at Anitya that we're going to be doing today is that I have this 3D scene here that I created in Blender, right? But what I really want to do, I want to bring the scene to Anitya, but with some using something that is very common on game design, and I think it's very valuable when you're working with like when you want your experience to be dynamic and to be lightweight and to work very easily. So what I did is I created this entire scene. As you can see right now, I have these pieces around. I want to have like only the pieces. I want to turn a 3D model into Lego pieces so I can send them through to my Anitya space. And there, then in Anitya, we're going to be able to be reorganizing these pieces like a big Lego. And why is that? This is actually very common on game design. If you actually look at most of the levels that you see, you're probably going to be seeing repeating parts. There is no reason why you have to model like the entire wall, especially when you're dealing with like a mobile. If you want to do something that's very lightweight, it's very efficient, very optimized. So what you can see here right now, what I'm doing in Blender, and again, I don't expect everybody to do this. This is just a bit of like a classic pipeline for game assets. Is that what I'm doing here in Blender is that I'm picking each one of the pieces that makes this house that I modeled in 3D, and I'm turning them into Lego pieces. I'm turning them into very specific assets. And there's a little bit of like a couple of steps that you have to follow before sending to Anitya, and I'm experimenting here as well in this case. And what you can see what I'm doing here is that I'm grabbing each one of these models and I'm just organizing its origin points and setting the scale. So I'm not going into details here because this is not a Blender tutorial. It's just more like an overall overview of what's going on. Is that what I'm doing that I'm grabbing each one of the pieces of this model and I'm trying to have that be sure that they all have the same scale, the same rotation, and they always fit so they can fit properly when I send them to Anitya. And again, a little bit of a step by step in here in Blender for those who know Blender. Let me explain a little bit what Blender is for those who don't know. Blender is free, totally free, and I mean free, as you really don't pay anything for it. The 3D modeling software is very, very powerful, and I really recommend anyone just to grab and be overwhelmed by it for a little while. It's increasingly becoming also like industry standards in some areas. And again, like I said, it's free. And in Blender, you can model, you can animate, but you can also prepare assets to bring inside Anitya. It's a very good platform for that. So continue what I'm doing, creating these Lego pieces, right? And then I'm going to be talking a little bit more about my background a little bit further on. So what I'm doing here, for those who want to be a little bit more technical, again, if you just, otherwise you can just ignore and just see like the little models spinning around a little bit. Call it like a 3D ASMR. Is that I'm selecting like a vertices from one of these models and then making sure that they all have the same origin points. What it means about origin points, the goal here, and again, I'm not sure if it's going to work, I'm going to be doing this live, is that once I send each one of these pieces to Anitya, I will be able to connect them one by one and create the scenes that I want. But instead of having like thousands and thousands and thousands of objects in the scene, I only have like 10, 15, 20 objects and just start like duplicating them and see how they're going to work and work with these Lego pieces. So again, what I'm doing here is selecting them. I'm fixing them to have like the same origin point, removing scale and rotation, and some other esoteric 3D modeling grunt work. And then I export all of them as GLBs. Again, this is here the scene. I'm doing this for each one of the objects. And let's see if I have a scene here. Yeah, then I just start I start applying. I'm going fast forward here, all my scenes. And I'm also having them all look, and if you can see here, now they are all inside the middle of the scene because I removed their position. This is to avoid when I send them to Anitya so that they can start appearing all over the place. So the idea is that when I drag and drop this object into the Anitya platform, boom, you're going to see everything there. So I export each one of them as GLBs, and now this is live, right? This is me live. I'll be looking next to the side because that's what my camera is right now. So as you can see here, this is the Anitya builder. I just started like an empty scene, and let's see what we can do. What happens when we try to bring these pieces there? So hopefully the goal is to have them like all set up and be connected, and see if this is going to work properly. So, because again, that's the power of Anitya, right? It's a platform where you can send all these, it's an aggregator for 3D models, for media, for anything that you want to see and interact in 3D space, using only the browser. And it's also a way that you can invite other people to experiment what you're doing. So let's see if I can invite you to my scene by the end of this. Okay, let me upload the assets. Let me search for the files. Oh, as you can see, they're all loading slowly but surely. 4 or 5. And again, these are just 3D shapes, 3D, very basic 3D shapes that I modeled. Let's go check the objects if they downloaded properly. Oh, look at here. So, as you can see, all those models that I created in Blender uploaded to Anitya. I saved them all as GLBs, as it is the supported file at the moment. And let's see what happens if I just drag and drop one of them. So I have here wall, glass, quarter, circle, 2. Okay, and then naming conventions, right? If I drop it here, is it loading? Here it is. Right. Here is that wall. I have a wall here. Very nice. So, but when I start building stuff like that, before I just start, let's see what happens if I put the position on 0, 0, 0. Okay, is at the center of the screen. Now let's see if they're actually fitting one another. Let's see how this works. So I have this wall glass circle. Dragging and dropping. Okay, let's move it to 0 again. I want them all in the same position. See if it fits. Oh, yes, it worked perfectly. As you can see, the models, not you, Floor. Circle. It's actually fitting very well. Which means that let's do another test here. What happened if I rotate? Will these circles fit? Not them. Let's rotate it on the y-axis. So I want it to swivel and see if this little circle, if I can close this circle right here. Let's just move here a little bit closer. And let me close the inventory panel here for a second to give us a little bit more room. All right. Let's see if I can rotate this circle here. Not the Z. The Y, Gabriel. You can see it's the green, same color. Aha! Here, got it. Is it coming? There you go. There you go. Let's try using the gimbal. Oh, look at that. It fits. It fits. So we have a wall glass and a wall glass circle here. So I can start building this. Let's see what we can do with this, right? So now, as you can see, I have like these 2 objects in the scene. And these are not even simple objects. These are actually circles with a glass. What I can do here, I can actually create a new entity with selection, which means just grouping them. So I have a entity here. Let's rename it like circle, glass, wall. Again, naming is really important, right? Always name your objects, name your groups, otherwise you get lost really quickly. And as you can see, what is this? It's just these two walls together. And what happens if I just let's just duplicate it. Okay. Oh, nothing happened. Well, of course, nothing happened. It actually happened. They're just on top of one another. One of those things about 3D modeling. Look at that. Look at that. We have a group. What happened if I just go here? Let's start going crazy here. Let's try to make a tower. Pop, pop, pop. Let's duplicate. I duplicate the whole thing. And I'm going to create a new entity with all these objects. And let's see what happens. Look at that. And I'm going to grab this. Yes. And I'm going to grab this. Oh, no, not this one. Okay. Okay, what's the cool thing about Anitya at the moment, right? Is that we can actually experience these things right now online and see if we are able to walk around it. Just make a quick test if how this thing is looking for modeling. But before that, let's just add some other stuff. I have a pretty garden that I created. Let's see if it's working properly. I'm very curious about that as well. Let me add the garden. Put it like 0, 0, 0. I want to see like in the middle of the scene. And there it is. Here's my garden. No, 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 no. Let's rotate it a bit. Okay. Place it here. And yeah. It's a garden. It's a garden. Oh, let's add it. I want to add more stuff. Let's move this big building here out of the way so we can start adding. This is more like my staging area for my building blocks, right? Let's see if my beautiful Kobogo works here. I don't know. For those who like architecture, Kobogo are these walls that have these holes. It's a very traditional modernist architectural feature that was created by 3 Brazilian engineers. One has a name starting with Co, the other with Do, and the other with Go, or like something. So they call it Kobogo. And I'm going to show what a Kobogo is. I recreated one. Yeah, these walls here. So imagine if I had to I want to create like a larger wall from all of this, from this, right? From this Kobogo. And now what I can do, I can just come here and again, duplicate it. And yeah, fits. And I can create an entity from these. Called Kobogo group. All right. And just keep duplicating these. So I have like a big group of this funky wall here. You can see, very nice. It's more like a modernist type of wall. Let's add a wall as well. Let's see if we can do a little house here. Oh, it appeared all the way there. Well, sometimes that's the problem with dragging and dropping. Same things do not show up far away. And again, 3D modeling interfaces, there are no set rules on. There it is. See, because they all have the same. I organize the origin points so I can swivel them all the walls like doors. And because I believe this is easier to create like 9-degree angles. It's at 90 degrees. Yes. And it's fitting here. Let's just add a ceiling, funky ceiling as well. I have like a circle. No, 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 no. Ceiling small. Yeah, I have some very bossa nova modernist ceilings that I was working on as well. No, bring them here. I want them in the middle of the scene. Then we can group them and organize how we want. As you can see, I have like this nice funky ceiling here. And again, it's not everything is squares. Nice and sensual curves, like Latin American Brazilian architecture of the 60s, which is something really cool. Oh, and I want to make another transparent wall here. And again, these are all just pieces. I can just keep constantly playing with this. I can grab this group here, duplicate it again, and yep, here it is. I have another wall. Where is my starting point? Is here. So the starting point is where the character starts. Let's move it here a bit. And let's try it out. Okay, so I have like all these basic assets, and again, I organize them so we can have them. They can be really efficient. Like it's running very smoothly. The polygon count is very low, but most important is we're just duplicating these objects in the scene. These are entities, so it's more efficient than having like a one really big scene in your environment. And the good thing about having these pieces is that we can organize and try and move just little pieces here and there instead of just having to handle like an entire model. So let's see how it works. Let's see this process. Let's save it. I'm calling it like both world. Okay, let's save my project. All right, it's updating. Let's jump right in. Okay, save project and continue. Just save it, but again, let's just keep constantly saving. I'm one of those guys when I play games and shooters. I'm always saving before every corner. I just can't waste time just dying on games. I know. At least I don't lose my files. Okay, let's see how our worlds look like. I'm starting with the standard funky Anitya funky shirt. Look at that. Yeah, it's here. Look at my scene. I organize everything. I mean, they don't have collision right now, but I just start dropping these objects I just created in Blender, and I'm really able to walk around it. And again, these are all Lego pieces. And the cool thing about Anitya is that I'm running this on my browser. I'm able to just drag and drop these objects and press play and walk around it. I mean, I just created these objects, and look at this. I created this building with just a few pieces. And again, one of the values of working with these Lego pieces instead of bringing an entire scene from another platform is that now that I'm just walking around, I can go back and forth from the builder, always trying some new things. Like here, like, oh, I see this is looking kind of weird. I don't like the way this garden is in here. I can start imagining some cool flowers that I can add here. Very nice. So I can come back and keep working. Edit project. Now we're going to be moving back to our scene. So, meanwhile, a little bit back on my story. So, I started working with developing VR scenes very early on, around 2014. That was when the first Oculus Rift released. And one thing about VR is that since I actually started modeling and creating stuff for virtual reality, that means that you have to be very efficient because there's some things that the worst thing you can do in a VR experience is not using low resolution textures. Actually, your brain doesn't care if something looks low resolution, if it looks cartoony. The only thing that really makes your brain really comfortable about the environment that it is are two things. Does it react the way you expect it? And is it fast? Are things happening instantly? So it's better to be fast and efficient than having a wonderful, beautiful, highly detailed, realistic experience that is constantly lagging, that people will not be able to fully enjoy it. And I think that's something that we should have in mind as well when we are working with the Anitya platform, because these, again, you're creating 3D worlds to share with other people. So it's important to always, and that's the power of the platform. We're able to share it with the browser with people that never touch Blender, who never touch any video games. You can create this and share this experience that I just created. Hey, look at this, mom, or look at this, guys. I just created this environment. What do you think? Does it look like what you expect? And it said, no, it looks really bad. I just tried on my browser. Can you fix it? Yeah, sure, I can fix it. And you can just like quickly fix it and start adding more things. And this is different than the normal game engine, right? Again, if we're developing something on, I mean, this is actually a lightweight, efficient game engine. and actually didn't like this name of game engine. This is actually like an immersive experience builder. Um, that allows you to be constantly creating, changing, and sharing on a 3D experience on an iterative process. What I mean, I can come here. Let's start adding more stuff here. I have some interesting walls that I want to add. Let's keep building our modernist garden here. So you can keep on building, adding things, and sharing it quickly. So again, what is the potential of a platform like Anitya in a world where actual game engines exist, right? I mean, I don't know if which of you have some experience with the Unreal platform or Unity. These are the industry standards for these are one of the industry's most famous game engines, right? Is that they're actually immensely powerful, and of course, Godot, which is like Blender free, and it is based in Godot, that allows you to create entire like very complex game experience. But for these, you have to actually build everything from scratch. Like a game engine is actually a very powerful machine, a complex machine that enables creators, coders, and entire teams to make very complex experiences. But because of that, they are often a blank slate, right? You have to code them, you have to compile them. This gives the creators a lot of opportunity to make them really good, to create anything they want. But this complexity, right? All these features end up requires also that people have a lot of experience and are able to manage really boring, very complicated things. Let's see if I can. Let's rescale this. I want to make like see if I can make something. No, this is too big. I'm gonna make a pathway here. I remember I had some really cool pieces that I model. I mean, these are very basic shapes. The ceiling, snaky ceiling. Yep, yeah. Snaky ceiling is here. Let me remove this. I want to make like a nice path for you to explore. Look at that. Yeah. Columns, V columns, also very popular in modernist architecture. And again, soon they're gonna be happy to be able if you're able to snap as well. But yeah, this looks nice. Okay. What if I start looking? This starts looking like an open air gallery. Let me even. This is my our collision floor, and let's see what if we can add some like. I mean, you're not confined to just using your own models. The cool thing is that the Nietzsche already comes with a bunch of objects as well. And let's see if I can add terrain. Okay, I just have to be careful not to fall from it because this is actually the panel. The terrain, green mountains. What am I going to add here? I think I like green mountains. What happened if I add these green mountains here? Let's start making it look like an actual environment. Okay, okay. As you can see, the scale is a bit not exactly the same scale as we were. Like, I mean, these mountains here, they actually like tiny hills again, but that's no problem. Let's put on the zero space where everything is again. That's why it's really good to. And let's scale it up. Let's just write down here. What happened if I just press 10? Yeah. What if I just press 50? Hmm. Yeah, I have a big world so I can experiment with. Now, let me figure out a way because it's very hilly. It's not. Here's. I think I need a plateau somewhere. Well, one trick I can do is that okay, so I want to make the entire environment flatter. And again, this is 3D. You can do whatever you want. You're not stuck with the object. Like, let's use what Anitya can do. Let's just make it flatter. I'm just changing one of the scales here. Make it like 10. All right. Now it's look like a grassland. Yeah, that's what I want. Look like a bit of grass. And I'm gonna use this. And I don't want to see the collision floor be visible. So I'm just gonna move the floor a tiny little bit more. 907. 909. Okay, not an exact science, but I'm trying to be exact here. Okay. Again, let's see if how this improves. And also let's see if we can add a light source, what happens, right? And again, if again we're talking about game engines. On a game engine, you'll be able to do all these things that we're doing right here, right? Maybe even more. But for you to test and share with people is that you have to compile it, you have to release it, you have to send someone a really large file. And here, again, on this scene, imagine this situation where I just created this very basic scene and I want to share with my friends. And they said, no, can you add something more? And said, okay, I added like an environment so we can have a better idea of the feel of the environment. And we can also add some different components as well. Let's see if I can add some, let's see the directional lighting here. Let there be light. Much better. We have some lighting going on. Okay. And here's the floor still. It has collision, enable transparency. Still a bit, I don't want to be sure. Okay, there's a risk that I'm going to be falling through the environment, but let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it looks right now. And again, I can jump back into the platform and try it out. Let's jump back in, save the project and continue. Look at that. What's happening? It feels like I'm like walking around mud, but what happened is that the floor was too low as I expected. But I can already walk through it, and I can actually even share this experience with other people as well very quickly. Look at that. Let's change it. Let's see in first person mode now. Nice. So I can have a better feeling of how everything is looking and how my pieces are working and how the environment feels and how the lighting is here. Nice. Okay, I like that. We are heading to an interesting direction here. Let's go back to the editor and see what we can do. So it is working. I'm able to add the background. I'm able to add lighting. It's everything. The process is really quick, especially when you're dealing with optimized models. Again, that's why I really vouch for anyone who is building for Anitya to be really mindful of polygon count. Although the system can handle a lot, it's always good to err on the optimized side. Okay, the floor. Come back here to the top. For now, I just have it here. Then I can just move the entire world. And I can make it there. Okay, something like that. It's fine. Looks like a flood. Okay, what are other objects that I have here? Okay, so I want to see make things look a little bit better. I'm adding some other assets that I created here. So I created this little house here with these ceilings and everything. And let's see if I can actually duplicate this path here. Column, 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 and ceiling. Again, create a new entity. Snake path with columns. Okay. And I'm going to duplicate the entire group. Look at that. So easy. You're already building something here. What if I rotate it? This. Let's put exactly 180. So you can see that the group origin point is a little bit off, but it's fine. Like everything has the same scale, so we can just place things close to each other very easily. Can you hear me? Yeah. before I start mumbling. Look at that. We have a nice cool environment going on. This garden here is not looking nice here. Let's see if I have another. I have here some other cool object that I can add to create my environment here. Again, with just a few like very primitive, as you can, and also as you can see, these scenes are not even textured. These actually very basic objects, and you can already do a lot with it. Let's see what else I got here. Oh yeah, I like these. These sunshade ceilings. Again, it's a ceiling, but we can turn it to anything we want. So I'm building here, telling a little bit more stories. So when working with virtual reality, I decided to go to college, where I actually went to a department where we study the neuroscience, department for arts and neurosciences. It's a very interesting multidisciplinary department at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, where we had scientists and neuroscientists working together to figure out how art can help science and how science can help art, and one will help the other one understand one another, which is something that had been happening for a long time. And since I was starting to get known as the VR guy because I had a VR headset, I started really researching what makes VR ticks, why it works, and then that's where we were, and we were understanding that the brain just loves filling up gaps, right? As long as things run smoothly and fast. So what does this mean? The way we perceive reality is that we actually we are constantly tearing. The brain is always telling you a story, and it's filling up the gap. So if it doesn't understand something, it was trying to make you feel a solution. But what does this mean in virtual reality? Well, when the moment you enter a virtual environment, a 3D environment, your brain starts telling a story to yourself. Okay, this is you. You are in a world. Your hands are here or not here, and they start like trying to fill up the gaps. So if you move your hand and you don't see your hands moving, you kind of feel like a weird sensation. And okay, you're moving your hands, but you can see them, but you can feel them. But maybe you can, and then you start to try to reach out for like a 3D object. Yeah, I can't feel that 3D object, but it is moving, and it's amazing because it's called like it's not necessarily neuroplasticity, but the cool thing about it is that the brain has this amazing capacity to adapt to any reality, to really be able to say, hey, I don't mind that I'm on a very low polygon 3D world. I just want to explore it, right? I want to understand who you are, what I can do here. And so after the first few seconds of people like don't understanding what virtual reality is, we run a bunch of tests with a bunch of electrodes in the brain and everything. People quickly start relaxing and just, oh, I accept the fact that I'm in a chicken in a virtual reality world, and can I lay an egg and fly? And again, imagining this, oh my God, this might sound funny, but this is actually really powerful. And started imagining, what can we do? So if we so easily can imagine ourselves as like chickens or dragons or ninjas in a virtual reality environment, I imagine what would that do with how we deal with computers in general? I mean, for now we try to fool ourselves that Windows is a desktop, right? What happens here? Oh, I turn all the way around. Right? We simulate. We kind of like agree that when you're looking at the desktop, it's a desktop, but there's nothing to do with the desk, right? But we understand these icons, the little trash icons, these things over here and there, right? We agree with that. If you think about it, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But we learn and we adapt, and our brain say it's fine. That's the trash can. You can delete objects, and these are files. You can move them around. Now imagine the future where what will our brains get used to the moment our entire computer experience are actually made of in virtual immersive 3D environments. I imagine the kind of creativity is going to be unleashed, because we live in 3D space. I think soon 3D is going to be much more natural. The only thing separating us from that moment is that the truth is, once you start adding one more dimension to anything that you do, like you see here,